Welcome to the chapel of Robinson College here at the University of Cambridge. This term, we're seeking to hear voices from outside the window, voices that is from beyond the usual range of acceptable opinion and discourse. And today we're delighted to welcome one of our own undergraduate students, Florence Miller. Florence is a student of mathematics who began her time at Robinson as a student in computer science. She also runs several successful YouTube channels, and today we hear in particular about her experience in running a YouTube channel about study and on having such an enormous public platform whilst at the same time being a self-confessed introvert. We begin our interview as usual with a brief reading from Scripture. Florence Miller, a first-year stroke second-year undergraduate, moving from maths to computer science, here at Robinson College at the University of Cambridge. A warm welcome to this digital version of Chapel. Can I ask you then, first of all, you've got a YouTube channel that is the first thing that comes up when you go onto YouTube and you search for our college at Cambridge. You're the first thing that appears. And you've had enormous success with the channel, judging from the number of views and so on, with relatively few number of posts. And I wonder if you could say something about how you came to start your YouTube channel.
Sure. I think it actually surprises a lot of people, even people who have found and know me from my current YouTube channel. It's not the first YouTube channel I've had, and it's also not the most popular YouTube channel that I have. So I originally started doing YouTube. I was doing a lot of art at the time, and I would make kind of videos showing drawings that I did. I was probably about 15 or so at the time. And I made this one video where I went through a load of drawings that I did and I showed them to the camera, and it wasn't, I'd say, a very well-made video, but it really took off and got, I think, something like 3.5 million views. So yeah, I have this other channel for art things, which I've been doing for years. And then when I started university, I realized that I probably wouldn't have the time to keep making these big art videos along with uni work. But I really enjoyed posting to YouTube. So I wanted to find a way of still making and posting YouTube videos without it taking too much time on top of uni work. And I was like, okay, I'll just film vlogs of what I'm doing anyway at uni. So that's how that came about. And that's how my current channel started. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Can I ask you a little bit about your background then? Because to an outsider who looks at a topic like maths as some terrifying entity that only supernatural people tread into, it's easy for us to think that maths and being good at maths has got absolutely nothing to do with art. Could you say a little bit about that prejudice, which is a fairly natural one to lots of people like me?
Yeah, I think you meet a lot of people who do maths and music or whatever, but it is relatively unusual to speak to someone else who does maths and art. I know a few people, but not a lot. I think there are definitely some kind of common skills which you can use in both. I think, being quite creative helps a lot. But for me personally, they're definitely quite distinct things that I was enjoying. So, art's always been a hobby. And then I didn't start really thinking about doing maths at university until well into high school, if not almost in sixth form. I was probably 16 or so. And before that, I was thinking about doing art at university. But I was really lucky to get involved in a lot of kind of maths competitions and stuff, which changed my path a bit.
And can I ask you, what is it that generated your desire to do a YouTube channel for your art? Because elsewhere, you've described yourself, I think, as introvert at one stage. And again, the people from my generation, we think that often that YouTube channels that are super popular are generated by wannabe extrovert superstar people. And having a self-confessed introvert doing a channel like that, it's just not what you expect. And could you say something about that tension, about how being introvert on the one hand matches up with the desire to do a YouTube channel where it's very, very public on the other?
Yeah, so I think the thing about speaking in videos is it's quite different to speaking to people in real life. And when I originally started doing YouTube, I didn't speak in my videos. I definitely didn't have my face in any of my videos. They were just, musical soundtrack and either me drawing or me showing my art or something like that. And nobody at my school knew that I did YouTube videos at the time. It was, it didn't really affect me or make me feel socially anxious or anything because no one knew it was me,
Even if somebody knew you well and somebody that knew you well watched one of those videos, they still wouldn't be able to pair up that it was you unless they knew your artwork or something.
I doubt it. Even years later, when I was like talking and sometimes appearing in my videos, a lot of people would kind of run into my channel, and then there were people who knew me in real life, and they would be asking me like, "Oh, I think I've seen a YouTube video with someone with a voice kind of similar to yours, but I'm not even sure it's you." And people were really surprised. But yeah, when you make videos regularly, you get more and more used to hearing your own voice, to talking on camera, to editing down what you're saying into something that makes sense, and just more used to seeing your own face. And it's a different skill that you kind of develop rather than just having right away, I think. And yeah, it's quite distinct. It's not really that similar to speaking to people in person.
What makes your videos so popular? Because one of the natural things in a world of check your privilege, is it because you're a very nicely spoken, white, blonde, middle-class female from a nice corner of England? So how much of a role does that play? And how much of a role do you think it's simply content and what you're doing that's attracting attention?
I think with my art channel originally, so I got most of my popularity through that. Well, I didn't carry much of an audience across, so I've kind of grown two separate channels differently. For my art channel, as I said, up for my first 100,000 subscribers, my face didn't appear, I barely spoke. That was very much just, you see the art, and that's what grew the channel. For my current channel, obviously, I, as a person, am more kind of a part of what's going on there. And it's not just me. Obviously, there are a lot of people at Cambridge who do these vlog videos, and a lot of people do really, really well out of it, a mixture of different people. I think kind of the main appeal is it's a lot of applicants and people who want to maybe come to Cambridge themselves, who enjoy hearing about student life and seeing what happens there. But I do think that I am helped by not necessarily being exactly what people would visualize as a typical maths or computer science student, right? I think there's some kind of surprise about me dressing and acting the way I do. And I think that does help my channel grow. I think I have definitely gained some success through that as well, compared to other computer science or math students who vlog too and don't have as many followers.
Yeah, I mean, it just raises a whole load of subsidiary questions for me. So one of them is, you did a makeup tutorial.
Yeah.
I just saw the cover. I haven't watched it. And again, those things seem radically out of sync with everything that you've described. And is it the same unexpected dynamic, do you think, that led to that? That on the one hand, you're a mathematician, even though you've moved to computer science. I think you said recently that it's still maths that's generating your interest, if I've understood that properly. How does that fit with the caricature of being a person that's noticed for doing makeup?
Okay, so the makeup tutorial specifically, it's a thing that I've done every year and a half or something since I started YouTube, or at least since I started showing my face on YouTube. And a big part of it is it's just the thing you get asked about the most frequently. If I'm showing my face in a video, people will be like, okay, what's that lipstick you're wearing? How do you do that? And so it's helpful to just have a video I can point people to every now and again. But it's definitely a bit of a balancing act, because those videos don't help me gain popularity. In fact, I think most of my audience don't enjoy them. That's not what they're there for. And there is a lot of pressure to kind of stick to a theme and produce the same videos again and again. People subscribe to me because they want study vlogs, they want me to talk about maths and computer science. They don't want to hear me talk about makeup. So I try to avoid them as much as possible. They really don't help my channel grow at all, especially because that kind of market on YouTube is really oversaturated anyway. So I put the odd one in, but I try to avoid it as much as possible.
This leads to yet another question. It feels as though you've got almost unconsciously have got your finger on the pulse of how this universe functions, in that you're very aware of your audience and aware of what your audience don't want. And for people that want to gain some kind of a massive audience, how important is it to be deliberate in your knowledge of that? And how much of it is just your instinct and you just carry on doing what you're doing?
Some people do YouTube because they really enjoy just making the content, and then, go for it, make whatever videos you want to, keep doing that. But if you want to build a following, I think it really helps a lot to stick to a theme, be aware of what your audience are asking for, and check analytics all the time, see which of your videos tend to do the best, because there are always themes. I know that my vlogs, anytime I post a vlog, it's a low effort video and it's guaranteed to do well. And that's why I moved channels anyway. I posted, I think, one study vlog on my art channel, and it did okay, but I knew that wasn't what my audience was there for, and this I would probably lose subscribers if I carried on doing that. And I just decided to start over from scratch. It's pretty stressful because you're very aware of people who like your content and people who don't like your content, and they make that very, very clear. But yeah, you get used to it, and it is something you have to be quite careful about, for sure.
In the comments section on YouTube, for instance, what kind of an impact does that have on you? Do you have any stories to tell about that?
They're not like fun stories, for sure.
Okay.
Like, generally, if I post a video, the people who see it are my subscribers, right? It's actually a surprisingly small proportion of my viewers it's a surprisingly small proportion of my viewers who are subscribed, but when they leave comments, they're always positive. So it's never really something I worry too much about. I don't have a moderator for my comments, and I never have. I've always gone through all of my comments on my own and sorted through which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to get rid of. But sometimes a video just kind of takes off, and that's how my art channel became popular. This one drawing video just really took off and got a lot of views from a very random selection of people. I've had the same thing happen a couple of times on my current channel, not to the same extent, but getting 50,000, few 100,000 views. And that's when you get the really, really unpleasant comments, which I don't think ever affected me that much on my art channel because they weren't very personal, Like if you're just showing a drawing, what can they say about you? Like, okay, your drawing's bad, okay, fine. But when you're showing your face and speaking or showing a part of your life in a video, suddenly those unpleasant comments become a lot more personal. And so even though I thought I was really used to it because I'd had it happen before, when I started getting a lot of unpleasant comments on my current channel, it definitely hit me a lot harder than it previously had. So it's not been brilliant.
Okay, that's not something that you were expecting. You thought, okay, I've got thick skin now. I know how to negotiate.
Yeah, definitely.
And it piles up. So can I ask you, there's something quite confessional, very personal. You expose quite a lot of who you are in very few words somehow. And I wonder again if you're, I don't know how many of your audience are Cambridge students already, or potential students at university, but it feels as though you are naming experiences that lots of people feel. There's nothing romantic about your channel. So for instance, just to try and make it a bit more concrete, when you talk about Robinson, if we want to sell Robinson, we think, oh yeah, you've got to say that it's just great and the best place you've ever been. But I think you're just quite brutal in the sense that some days when it's dark, visible, bricks feel like a bit of a prison, and yet there are times when I think one of your lockdown videos where you were saying the light's beautiful, the way it shines off the red brick, you present the beauty and the gloom of a place like this in a way that's super authentic and probably far more helpful to the college's image than what we might think with our sort of management training is the most helpful thing to do. And I think the same probably is true of the students that you reach, because you're talking about for instance, being introverted, one of the things that's become clear to me in recent years is, on the one hand, we have a disproportionate number of people who would describe themselves as introvert. And yet everything in Cambridge seems to be organized by people that wanted to be voted into public places and are extrovert. And with the best of intention, welcoming introverted people has not been woven through the fabric of our support networks. But I wonder if that's something that your channel is doing without realizing that that's what it's doing, is giving permission for people to feel that this is their place, even though they don't tick all the extrovert boxes. Are you able to say something about that? Is that something you've thought about?
It's something that's crossed my mind before, but not in that way. I think I don't typically watch Cambridge bloggers. I think most people who watch them aren't current students, but
Right.
are mostly like prospective applicants. But I certainly have a vision that they're people who get up to a lot of stuff. They go out a lot, they vlog all this exciting stuff they get up to. And I've always felt quite almost self-conscious about the fact that in my vlogs, what do I do in a day? I study, I might go get coffee. I might see one friend, I don't tend to go out. So my vlogs can never really showcase that side of Cambridge. And I think that I get people saying, I want to go to Cambridge, but I watch your vlogs and it makes me think that maybe it's not for me because, I'm quite sociable. I want to go out clubbing. I want to get involved in stuff and you don't. And I always really worry that I don't get across that is stuff that you can do should you choose to. Although I feel like the other Cambridge vloggers do that more than enough. But it's nice to think of, okay, maybe there are other people like me who don't look for that stuff in the university they're choosing, who might actually find my kind of daily life more appealing. Yeah, that's nice to think about, I think.
It's interesting. Perhaps more in recent years, this has become more of a conscious issue to lots of people, that you don't have to go and do all this exciting stuff to be an authentic, hardcore, fully functional, thriving Cambridge student. I suspect that you're far more typical than lots of people would realize.
Yeah, there are a lot of people like me out there, but you don't hear from us so often because they don't have that kind of platform to share how little they get up to.
Yeah, normally if you have a platform, it's to tell everyone how much you're getting up to. Does being a computer scientist help when it comes to putting your videos together? How much technical know-how is involved?
This is another massive misconception people have. I am not that kind of computer scientist. I didn't come to Cambridge to do computer science. I could barely code. I can't use a computer properly. Who knows? I don't know what I'm doing. And since I've started doing YouTube, all of my videos have been filmed, edited, and uploaded from either an old iPad mini or my 5-year-old phone model. There's no high-tech stuff going on here. And I know a lot of people, when they want to start vlogging, they're always getting the latest editing software, buying a big camera, lighting, and that stuff's great and it really helps. But you can totally do it without any of that. I think a lot of people don't realize you can make videos that get views without investing or having super specific skills or anything.
You mentioned earlier that you sort of eased your way into this, that you get used to hearing your own voice on camera. And seeing your own self in public. So does that then have some kind of an impact on the way that you relate to people when you're not talking through a computer screen? Does it have an impact on you as a person, do you think?
Surprisingly little impact. I think things have changed a little bit because I'm not used to being recognized in public, because even when I had this bigger channel, my viewers were mostly American and never affected much. And now I'm still this really introverted person who's not very good at speaking to people, but sometimes people recognize me if I go to Sainsbury's or wherever I go, people recognize, especially because I restarted as a fresher. And so I'm joining all these freshers calls with people who were prospective applicants when I was making vlogs as a math student, who have watched my videos. And it's very strange to deal with because I don't talk much. I'm not good at interacting with people. And I don't know many people, but they know who I am, which is just a very strange dynamic, I have to say.
And is that something that you enjoy, or is that something that you're indifferent to?
I'd say I'm fairly indifferent to it. I would love to use it to meet, say, other people who do videos like I do, maybe get to work on some content together and stuff, but it's just kind of never fallen together that way. And I've never made like lasting friendships with people who watch my videos. That's not entirely true. I've actually made some friends on my art channel who are people who watch my art videos before they met me. But that's besides the point. Like on my current channel, I've never met and really befriended anyone at uni just from them watching my videos. So I don't think it bothers me that much. It's a bit awkward saying hi to people in the street and then knowing I'm never going to speak to them again. But yeah, it's fine. You cope with it.
I suppose you get used to it. Okay, well, the last question then is, there are lots of people that would envy what you've just described. And again, I think it's because lots of the issues I deal with here are from people that don't feel heard. And it seems that sometimes looking for that kind of a platform is a means of being heard in a world that's not great at listening, at least in the experience of some people. And I wonder, to what extent might you feel heard as a person when you're doing these videos? Does it give some kind of an outlet to something that needs to come out?
I think when people kind of build their social media presence, they have to choose a kind of personality that they want to be on the internet. And I've always tried to be as kind of uncontroversial as possible. I don't want to bother anybody. I just stick to mostly what I know, which is making vlogs. That's what people want to see. And I think in a way, I feel quite limited in what I can say, because I don't want to say things that will change people's opinions of me. I sometimes like say not so flattering things about Robinson or whatever. I love Robinson and I make that, I think, fairly clear in my videos, but that's about as far as I go. And other than that, even on my personal social media accounts that aren't under the Flow Study Diary name, I find I'm quite careful about what I post. And it does limit what I can say a little bit, I think.
Okay. But I suppose, nevertheless, there's something about all of the posts that feels, as I said before, properly authentic, because it's, well, like the way that you communicate about Robinson, you can only do it if you're up close. And it's just honest. Like families whinge about their own people and so on. There's something about it that just feels natural and not, it's not, there's no venom in it. It doesn't feel anything other than it comes from a good place, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if that sounds patronizing, but
No, it makes total sense. I was pulled to Robinson. I didn't choose to go to Robinson, but I love it as a college. I love studying there, and there are so many things that I love about it. And I never even considered applying to a modern college when I applied to Cambridge. And at the very least, I hope that the people who watch my videos can be encouraged to look at modern colleges and think about what that would be like, because it's really convenient and I really do enjoy it a lot. So I don't want to seem too unpleasant. I think I'm quite authentic on YouTube. Like, I don't pretend to be someone I'm not. I just kind of pick and choose what parts of my life I want to show. And yeah, it's more selecting what I say than saying things that I wouldn't typically say, I guess.
And that's how most people interact in daily life, even if it's not conscious. But that sounds like a great place to finish. Florence Miller, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.